What is up, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are checking out DS Machine's September Patreon playlist, and it is all about the band The Novembers. Novembers are a Japanese alt-rock band formed in 2005. Their vocalist is also currently in the band The Decays with Die from Duran Gray. I have not heard them before. This is a long one. I'm going to warn you guys about that right now. It is 11 tracks. These long videos, long playlists, tend to be a little tougher for me to do at points because I do break down each one. I do apologize about having to go into October to get this done. I will make sure to get these videos done more promptly from here on out and make sure they are in the month they're requested. So sorry about that, guys. I do love you. I do appreciate all your support via Patreon. Thank you so much. So, the first track from the band is called Kyou mo Ikitane. About 7.5 minutes or so. And let's go ahead and get it started. The band is The Novembers, the track. And here we go. I'm really hoping that nothing happens with this and it can wind up on YouTube and not just Patreon, or not just BitChute. I like the kind of old school record like sound effects here. It's a really easy going snare sound. Very indie kind of alt-rock feeling here. Really strong bass work, very 90s American alt-rock. I don't have any of the lyrics pulled up. I was struggling to find them. Really gentle voice. I like how very sparse the video is. Really plays well with the music here. He's got a really gentle voice. Really nice falsetto. Really like the difference in guitar tones and textures. One of the guitars sounds like somebody's using a semi-hollow body. Get some of those rich, very worn guitar tones and textures. Like the slightly melancholic feeling here. It's a really easy going track. Drumming is very straightforward, very basic. Drums are mixed really softly, like the rest of the track is. Got a good feeling to it. I certainly will have to try to find these lyrics again at some point. I had no luck trying to get a translation. like how rich that bass line is. I like it how the guitars are kind of taking a back seat, playing more of an accent role. The bass and the drums are really driving this from a rhythmic standpoint. Got a beautiful falsetto. It's hard to control your false really well, and he does such a great job. Definitely remind me of some of the more indie style 90s and early 2000s alt rock bands from the States. I like the vocal layering and how he's going a little lower, getting a little more richness to his voice. It's very subtle, but it's very enjoyable layering. Nice semi-jazzy fill there. I really like the counterpoint going on between these two guitar players. I like that really subtle chorus there, or the choir. Sorry about that. I say choir. It's really subtle. It's really easy going. It's a really nice texture. I like the addition of that tambourine back there as well. That's a really nice touch. I do like how loose that snare is. You get a nice bit of rattle and resonance from the springs there. That was really pleasant. It was really enjoyable. I'm not sure it needed to be 7.5 minutes. I think, in all honesty, you probably get to trim some length, a little bit of length off of that. But it's really enjoyable. It's very soothing. For an alt rock track, it's definitely on the softer side. The alt rock stuff that I listen to tends to be a bit more aggressive, being a fan of bands like Soundgarden, Alter Bridge, and Alice in Chains, and a lot of your 90s alt rock and grunge. So it's definitely a different feel, and it's just really mellow. It's really enjoyable. It's very minimal, yet they do have some really nice guitar accent stuff going on. Very, very easy going. Be really curious to see if that trend continues. Definitely very, very mellow. You could listen to that in a lot of different places where you just want something soft and soothing that just kind of makes you feel good, yet at the same time feeling a little melancholic. So, the next track we've got is Misstopia. So we're clocking in about 6 minutes and 18 seconds. And here we go. A bit more of that analog sound here. Hate to say it, that riff kind of reminds me of the opening to Running with the Devil by Van Halen. Production's really light in this. It might be just a bad upload. Or a lower quality upload. The mix does seem a little weak. It's got such an amazing higher range and a beautiful false. It's really pretty and it's really enjoyable and very pleasant and palatable on the ears. He shifts in and out of it really well. Like the synths back there, it's really hard to make out some of these elements. The drums are mixed really softly again. Everything just seems like it's really far back. Feels like I'm really having to listen deep into the mix to find it. Really like those bass lines. Their bass player does do a lot of work up high. Their riffs are still really sparse and minimal. Get a really U2-like vibe from this. This one's really easy to get lost in. I am going to have to find out if it's just this video as far as the mix goes. I like those cymbal accents. It's really nice. He really does a great job of shifting in and out of that false. So enjoyable to listen to. I like the xylophone there hovering at the top of the mix. That's a really nice texture. And the riffs are just very, very gentle. kind of interesting. The bass feels like it's a little forward. The drums feel like they're a little back. The vocals are sitting nice. I just feel like I've really got to listen in deep into the mix to get to them. That riff, just the way it's set, timing-wise, just makes me think of the bass line to Running with the Devil by Van Halen. It really does, unfortunately. It's just so similar in that sense. All right. That was Misstopia. Another track that I feel like is a little longer than it needs to be. I mean, that's certainly an artistic choice, but I feel like when you do longer tracks, I want more out of them. Like, I don't mind it when progressive bands do longer stuff because there's constantly stuff going on. There's different changes. There's a lot of different riffs. There's a ton of acrobatics happening. I feel like songs that are really simple, that aren't really doing much more than just repeating the same phrases and just going back, verse, chorus, and post chorus, and then back to your chorus. I feel like you could probably trim those down a little bit. I know it's certainly what the band wanted. And it's a really nice track, but I could easily feel like that would be more enjoyable for me at about 4 to 4.5 minutes. It's another really pleasant track. It's another very gentle track. So the mix in that one felt a bit off. Now it is coming off of YouTube. It's not the record, so it truly might be just a bad upload. They certainly happen, and certainly seen that in the past year of doing videos here on the channel. So that could be it. Overall, I love the guy's falsetto. I think he's got a really great falsetto. I like his mid-range a lot, and I love just how seamlessly he moves in and out of it. He makes it sound effortless, and that's really just pleasant and enjoyable to listen to. And so far, his voice is really the highlight of the band. The players seem talented, and they seem strong. You're just not getting a whole lot out of them. They're just very minimal and very simple so far. Now that could change. We've got 9 more tracks to get into. So, on that note, the next track is Black Rainbow. And here we go. All right. A little heavier, finally getting some distortion. Another really odd mix. Certainly done to have an impact. Some nice haunting kind of vocals here. Nice to finally get a nice, slightly heavier track here. Nice strong grooves. Kind of makes me think of an Oasis track in their heavier moments. Crossed with a bit of Nirvana. And a little bit of Alice in Chains with that vocal harmony and the groove. I like that guitar accent. Really cool accent work. Really interesting vocal layers going on here. I really like this chorus. Really, really strong. Killer groove, and I really like that riff. Nice to finally see these guys getting a bit harder. Nice feedback there. Just so much breakup. I get the idea of trying to create chaos through a mix. I just don't like it at the cost of the mix and everything about the track sounding muddy. All right, that was pretty awesome. It was a really strong track. Certainly, all the hallmarks of some of the harder '90s alt rock. But again, and I'm not sure if this is going to be a running thing with them. The production just wasn't that good. The mix is just really odd. You know, it feels like they're trying to create chaos through the mix and not necessarily the music. And some people really like that approach. I'm not necessarily personally a fan of it. I like those harder riffs. I like the breakup in the guitar tone. I just think it would sound better if things were a bit crisp. You can make a mix clear and still have a raw sound to it. I just like to be able to hear what the instruments are doing. And you can't necessarily do that in this mix. So that's definitely a personal preference. I just like cleaner mixes. So you can really have, for me, they have more impact. Really enjoy the riffs. Really like the vocals. It's certainly nice to hear them a little more aggressive. I hope I get some more of that here in this playlist. The next track is Xeno. It is the live version. And here we go. All right, big rumbly bass lines here. Lots of fuzz. Those tones, man. There's so much fuzz and so much noise up top and fizz out of it. I feel like your ears have to cut through and filter out those frequencies to really get to the tones. kind of makes me feel like I'm listening to a local band at a local show. I like the vocals, but again, I'm having a lot of issues making out the instruments and making out the articulation of what's being played. There's a lot of reverb on his voice, too. Get almost a little bit of a Silverchair-like feel there. Really like the guy's voice. I feel like the drummer's doing some really cool stuff back there. It's just really hard to pick it out because of just how bad the mix is. Kind of get a little bit of Chris Hall from Stabbing Westward as well. Got a really strong groove, really like that bass line. Guitar player is doing some really cool accent stuff. It's just hard to make it out. It's a really interesting touch of using a telly with the lead guitar player and the vocalist slash rhythm guitar player using a Fender Mustang loaded with humbuckers. Up in that feedback. All right. Was strong. I enjoy a lot of what they were trying to do in the track, but once again, and it really is a personal preference, that mix is just not enjoyable for me, unfortunately. And that's kind of a sticking point. It's kind of hard. It's like you really have to dig through all that noise and all that fuzz to get to the guitar tones. And even the overwhelming majority of stoner rock and doom bands that do a lot of that noisier stuff and have a ton of fuzz still have really rich, really dynamic tones. And that's more my style. That's more my feel. Is what I enjoy is just thick. Is those bigger tones that still have the balls and the richness to them, as opposed to a ton of noise and a ton of fizz and breakup in that high end. I like some of that, but I also really want to hear the girth and the tone. I like the track overall. It would have been nice if that noise wasn't constantly screaming into my ears. It's unfortunately set off my tinnitus, so that's That kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Overall, you know, it's a solid track. It's an enjoyable track. It's probably not one I'm going to go back to in the live format because at this point my ears are ringing hard because of just so much noise and so much breakup, and it was honestly a little painful. I think the track would sound really good if it was mixed better. The next track we're going to get into is Tetsu no Yume. And here we go. I like the riffs. This one sounds a bit better. The mix is still a little interesting. Really like those accent guitar lines there. I like that slight bit of distortion there on the vocal. Nice little bit of vocal layering there. Interesting that riff slightly changed a little bit, went a little lower, added a little bit more grit to it. They do really use a lot of different textures to convey different emotions out of the listener. It's really interesting what... I really like to employ a lot of that noise too. A lot of that high end, very treble heavy. Certainly adds a nice bit of intensity. This video is not going to be for everybody though. It might set you off if you don't react well to stuff like this. If you have seizures, this might not be a video you want to watch. Interesting the effect they're putting on there to really pull those lows out of his voice there. It's also really interesting just how clear they're making that accent guitar line. There's certainly a lot of artistry in what they do and the approach they take to their mixes and how they want things to be heard. really using a lot of different vocal effects to evoke those emotions out of the listener. Really interesting solo there. A lot of noise involved in it. That was the Iron Dream. Another really noise-heavy track. A lot of those very droning, very fuzzy passages going on. They certainly do a lot with different noises, different effects, and different textures. Another one that probably went on a little bit longer than I feel like it needed to. They really do have that very indie, artsy-like feeling to what they do. A lot of different textures, a lot of different noise aspects, a lot of different things going on in the video. A lot of very chaotic feelings going on. I liked it. I didn't love it. And unfortunately, my ears are still screaming from Xeno. So, overall, it was solid. The next one we're getting into is Dogma. I don't know how I feel about a track named Dogma in a Japanese band, considering, well, kind of partial to the Gazette. Really interesting fuzz on that bass line. Another really weird mix. They just feel like they're really inconsistent. Really strong groove. I like how heavy that kick tone is. It sounds good. A lot of layers again. That lead tone is once again really high up there in the mix. Different layers and vocal melodies here as well. I do like how big those tom tones are. It's interesting how they went with the trash can snare here as opposed to some of their different snare tones. Again, this video, if you have epilepsy, you probably should not be watching this. It's certainly very artistic, but it's going to really throw you off if you suffer from epileptic seizures. kind of jarring going along with the different chaos going on in the video, or in the music. I like that change, I like that kind of scream going off there, that alternative scream. Almost like. I really like that guitar accent. Interesting things going on with that tone. Alright. That was Dogma. It's another interesting track. Certainly a little bit heavier for them. A lot of noise. Big flashy video. Definitely on the definitely might induce some epileptic seizures. So I'd certainly be careful with it if you might suffer from it. It's a solid track. I didn't necessarily love it. It's certainly kind of starting to figure out what they're going to sound like when they're a little harder. The mix again was really odd. Just certain things are very forward. It just seems disjointed and chaotic, and that's clearly what they're going for. It's just not necessarily my cup of tea. But it's a solid track. But it's another one that, honestly, I'm not necessarily sure I would personally go back to. The next track is Rhapsody and Beauty. And here we go. Kind of a punk groove here with some accents going over top. Again, those accents, the guitar accents are really forward. The drums are really bad. It's really easygoing vocal melody there. That guitar harmony is just really overpowering the rest of the track for me. I like the bass line, it's really nice, it feels good. And I really like the different melodies he's getting with his vocals. It's just really overshadowed by that accent line, which kind of sounds like an air raid siren. It's almost like the vocals when he gets up into that false are competing. Feels like there's an effect on the drums. I just can't figure it out. I'm just not hearing the drums that well. Definitely some slight reverb on the vocals again. really like the groove, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on. And his vocals are really enjoyable. I just feel like there's a big hole in the middle of that, in the middle of the mix here. And that drum kit just doesn't sound cohesive. Kind of an interesting little noise passage there. See, again, this is overly long almost for the sake of being overly long. That was Rhapsody in Beauty. It was pretty at points, and there's some things about it that I really enjoyed. But the mix is bad, at least in my opinion. There's a massive hole in the middle of the mix, at least out of these headphones. And the drums aren't cohesive. That air raid siren-like guitar accent is just constant. And it's really, really high, and it's really dominating the mix. The vocals, I wish the mix was more full and more rich. I wish those accent guitars were down a bit lower. I wish the vocals were higher. I wish the bass line was higher. And, you know, the whole point of the bass is to really thicken that mid up, and it's just not there. That one was a little tough because the mix was so bad, and that guitar accent was just, the accent guitar was just so high and so forward. It was conflicting with the vocal melodies and the vocals. It gives you a nice feeling, but it's so repetitive. It almost feels like a noisecore track. And, you know, the last minute and a half or so, I just don't feel like it needed to be there. It just didn't do anything for me. And, you know, it was just a little difficult for me to listen to. So, I hate to say it, I'm not necessarily a fan of that. And now we're getting into romance, and this looks like another one that's going to be a bit on long side. Oh, let's get into it. Mix on this one sounds a bit better. I like the electronic elements. Really like the very sparkly, clearly Telly-like guitar tones there. I like that you're getting a little bit more of a band performance here. Bass is still a bit low. Using more of a strap this time. Do like his voice. Fits really well here. It's very soothing and relaxing. Using a bit of that false. Interesting to see the drummer rocking a Ushenka. It's got to be very not fun to be wearing in a video. I really like that bass line. Again, I want those vocals more forward. They're just sitting too far into the middle of the mix. It almost has an 80s like vibe to it. Really nice fill there for the drummer. Got a really nice falsetto here. Really like this passage. Very sparse. Really cool effects here in the video. That really spanky strat tone in the vocal layering really does have that very big 80s feel to it. Bass player is really good. He's doing some really cool things there. I love how the keyboard player is just standing there looking bored. It's really interesting how that keyboard melody has been running throughout the entire track. It just gets drowned out at points. It's another case of the song is pretty. I really like a lot of what's going on in it. But it's overlong for the sake of being overlong. I really like the way it's fading out with the synths, but we could have done that about 45 seconds to a minute and a half sooner. So, I like it. Mix is still odd for me. They really are one of those bands that clearly focuses very hard on their art. And they really have things set the way they want to have kind of an impact. I guess maybe I'm missing what that impact is with the way they're doing their mixes and their production. I like the track. I think it was really enjoyable. Again, just a weird mix for me personally. And just really overlong. I mean, that song could have been about 5 to 5.5 minutes at most. That last minute and 43 seconds or so was just them kind of jamming on that main riff with that keyboard line that's been going from the opening all the way through, and then just fading out. I mean, the video is pretty. The fact those little blue smoke wisps were the only real color in the video other than black and white. And you know, they do definitely really have that minimalist vibe there. I like how the keyboard player / most likely their lead guitar player like bored to tears throughout the entire video. That was kind of funny. Overall, I liked it. I think it's certainly the track I've liked out of the past couple. But still some of the same issues I've had with the rest of the tracks, and I think it's probably going to be persistent until we get to the end of the playlist. Unfortunately. The next track is Reunion with Marr. And here we go. Alright. Another really fuzzy mix. Bass is richer here and more forward. I do like that. I like the way this vocal ability is building. You really like the guitar tones. That little bit of reverb on his voice. Like that slightly off use of the vibrato there. It's an interesting feeling. It certainly does a lot with that. like the different vocal layering there. I like those synth passages there. Bass line definitely sounds really, really strong. Certainly glues this track together. Really interesting the choices when they use reverb on his voice. They have a little bit of delay. It is interesting to switch to English there. And that was Reading with Marr. And once again, I just don't understand it. But that was really just drawn out more than I feel like it needed to be. And I think the last couple of tracks are probably going to be really similar with that. They're just going to be, for some reason, they just really like to draw their tracks up. Not a bad track. You know, I like his vocals. Really like how rich that bass line is. Their bass player is really good. He's really enjoyable. More so when I can really hear him. And it was nice and upfront and audible there. But I'm having the same issues that I've had before. That I've had in the past tracks with them. And I mean, overall, it's not a bad track. It's just not necessarily my cup of tea. The strengths are still pretty similar to what I've said before. So, the next track is going to be Kowa Reru. And here we go. More of that artsy video stuff going on. They have once again found the trash can snare. The mix is more cohesive here, thankfully. Drums still sound like they're recorded in an echo chamber. I do really wish they'd do better about that. Vocals are nice and clear this time, that's a good sign. Almost the Cranberries like vibe in that guitar harmony there. That riff just doesn't sound like it makes sense there. Really like that snare fill, very punk influence. You like that change? I really like the spank off that accent 10. Can certainly see why Dai picked him up to the decays. That makes a lot of sense hearing his voice. Oh, I like the solo here. That's really enjoyable. Kind of that controlled chaos, really nice bends there. Definitely a big early to mid 90s alt rock vibe there. Now, that was probably one of my favorite tracks in the bunch. Really enjoyed that. Definitely a strong 90s alt rock vibe. The mix wasn't as bad as some of the other stuff was. I like where everything was. Really like that spank from those Fender tones. I even enjoyed the kind of off-key vocals he's utilizing in the chorus. That was enjoyable. That one was fun. And I certainly liked it. So definitely one of my favorites out of the bunch. And it looks like we are finally coming to the end of this one. The last track is called The Flowers, or The Flower of Life. Starts out with the sonogram. Okay, cool. Almost electronic-like sound on those drums. Really nice, soothing track to close this out. Kind of like the first couple. I like how easygoing and gentle this is. It's got a really nice rich bass line. The keyboard textures are nice. It's interesting just how many things the vocalist is capable of doing. And it doesn't necessarily seem like he would be, depending on what you're hearing from him. He's really versatile. The use of that floor tom right there. Our bass player is really, really good. Really interesting imagery. those tracks, they're really interesting mix. And that was the last track on the playlist. That was The Novembers and Flowers of Life, or Flower of Life. And they're really interesting. You know, there's a lot of different things going on in their tracks. There's some really loud, very noisy things going on. Then there's these different different ambient textures, different things going on. It's almost hard to keep up with some. Be really curious to hear a full record from them. Overall, I think there's some really good points about them. And then I think there's some things I just don't love. I don't like their choice of mixes. I just don't. I like more clarity. I like more definition to a mix. I like things to be more cohesive, and I like more articulation, especially in guitar tones and really being able to hear what's going on. And I feel like there's some tracks where those vocals are just not where I'd want them. When I have to really feel like I'm peeling through a mix to be able to hear the vocals or to be able to hear the guitar tones, it's just not something I love. Some of those noisier tracks, like Xeno, my tinnitus has been roaring ever since. So that was a little brutal, and probably definitely put something in the description for you guys about be careful with a couple of these because they're a little brutal. And some of the videos are very artsy and very going to give you that might be prone to epileptic episodes. Overall, I think there's some really nice things. I think the tracks that I liked the most were the first two, Ikitane, Misstopia, and Black Rainbow. I just was good. Xeno live, I didn't like it. Dogma wasn't bad. Tetsu no Yume was okay. Anything with Marr wasn't. It was all right. Some of these tracks were very hit or miss for me. It's not necessarily my thing as far as alternative goes, but I'd certainly go back and listen to more of the ambient stuff. And I like some of the grooves, and I certainly like some of the solos they're doing. And I think the vocalist has got a great voice, and their bass player is ridiculous. He's just really, really talented. Can clearly play anything, and he does very well. Yeah, the drummer, I'm sure the rest of them have a lot of chops as well. But those are the ones that really were able to show off the most. It was a long list. I'm not gonna lie. That was a bit long, and there were some tracks that were up there in the 6 to 7 minute range. So it's kind of an exhausting listen, but overall, I really appreciate you sharing the band with me, man. I really do. Thank you, DS Machine. I truly appreciate it. Though I will ask if you keep it under 60 minutes next time. You know, make things a little easier. But being that you are supporting me on Patreon, I find it very hard to say no to doing videos like this. So it's kind of that catch-22, I guess. I feel like I really do feel like I owe you guys, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much, my friend. Hope some of you guys out there enjoyed these guys. I know it's probably not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but There are some really good things, and there's some things that are just not my thing. Overall, it was enjoyable. And I will certainly be taking some of those tracks into a playlist because some of them were really, really enjoyable. And the last one was really nice. A nice way to end it. It was a good choice there. Hope all of you are doing well. Thank you so much for all the support, guys. Truly appreciate you. I've got a bunch of videos I need to get up as far as opinions and a lot of other non-J-Rock stuff that I need to get back to. So we'll start doing some of that as soon as I can. Thank you to my law enforcement, military veterans, and first responders for what you do every single day. As always, you guys have been awesome. I've been Baldman. I'll see you in the next one. Be excellent to each other and keep it bang.